Welcome to Watch the Booker Man and to what I'm expecting to be a fairly short video because this is just about WCW Starcade 2001. We are now under 2 months to that show. It is 52 days until Starcade 19, and this video is essentially me asking what you want, maybe expect to see on WCW Starcade 2001. The first thing I'm going to show you is the card of WCW's Big Bang, our previous and only pay-per-view in the save so far, the first show when WCW came back. Now Booker T defeated Diamond Dallas Page to retain the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. Sugar Shane defeated Billy Kidman to retain the Cruiserweight Championship. Hugh Morrus defeated Kanyon. Lance Storm defeated Fit Finlay. The Natural Born Thrillers defeated the Peaks of Perfection. Mike Awesome defeated David Flair, and Chavo Guerrero was defeated by the debuting Rob Van Dam. We also had Super Crazy and Yoshihiro Tajiri debut, defeating the Young Dragons, Romeo and Skipper, and 3 Count. Diamond Dallas Page won a Battle Royal, and interestingly, a little bit of trivia there, Crowbar was the very first man to come out victorious in a pre-show match against Jamie Noble. I'm showing you that just as an indication of how things have progressed in the first 5 months of this save, and the roster is very, very different to what it was at that time. I will be showing you the full roster on screen now, and I just want to know, what do people want to see? Ric Flair now on the roster, Andrew Martin, Christian Cage coming in, new faces, people who weren't here at the start. This is probably twice as big as the roster that I started with, for better or for worse. But you can see here, we have some major stars in the company now. Booker T, Ric Flair, Shane McMahon. Will all of them or some of them be in action at the pay-per-view? My initial planned main event was actually Booker T versus Diamond Dallas Page, and it was a storyline that's not really happened for Diamond Dallas Page that I had in mind. It was going to be that he's 45 years old, this is a new WCW, and Shane's kind of softly edging him out of the picture, and it was actually going to be a title versus career match where Diamond Dallas Page picks up the win. But I thought, with Booker T being such a popular babyface, we didn't want to position him as somebody potentially ending Booker T's career, so I do now have a different match in mind. But Jerry Lawler, will he just be on commentary for that show, or will he be an active participant? These are the well-known people, so people who we really should be expecting to see on the card, as well as these recognisable names that you can run through on screen now if you want to pause the video or whatever. I don't necessarily expect anybody to put a full card or anything, but I'm just interested if viewers want to share their thoughts and feelings. Who do you want to see in the marquee matches at WCW Starcade 2001? And I will just check my notes here because I initially had some ideas that basically have entirely changed. We couldn't be more far away from my initial plan, so it was gonna be Booker T versus Diamond Dallas Page, as I said. I had Rob Van Dam versus Vader in a title versus streak match. The idea there was going to be that I was going to spend all these months building Vader up to become one of the top guys on the roster, and then it'd be the case of, can anybody stop this man? And I thought that would have been a huge United States Heavyweight Championship match. I've just noticed that I've still got Jimmy Hart as his manager, even after all these months. But yeah, it's just not quite worked out for him. Sure, he's got hot momentum, and he's probably still one of the more over people on the roster, but I just don't have the same feeling of that match. One of the first matches that came to my head when I was putting this save together was, weirdly enough, Big Van Vader versus Rob Van Dam. I just felt that Van Dam trying to chop down this seemingly unstoppable monster would have been really, really great. But yeah, it's not quite worked out for him over time, and I do expect that when his contract expires, we probably won't be keeping him, certainly not on a long-term contract. I also had the Extreme Outsiders versus Andrew Martin and Christian Cage written down at one point. The Extreme Outsiders versus a tag team that never even formed here. Sugar Shane defending the championship against AJ Styles. Now, of course, he doesn't even hold that belt anymore. That's not to say there's not time to change that. We had here Mike Awesome versus Diamond Dallas Page with Don Callis in a shark cage match, and at one point I was again going to do that as a DDP putting his career on the line match. So it just shows how many ideas that I've had, and probably I didn't realise how quickly things would go with just having 90 minutes a week. And yeah, I expected that the World Heavyweight Championship would change hands at one point. I had in my mind that Mike Awesome was going to take the title from Booker T in a steel cage, and I just wanted that shock moment on what I think would have been Halloween Havoc, the show that we've just done. So it shows that plans do very much change, and I had Terry Funk versus Jerry the King Lawler. I was going to do Ric Flair versus Shane McMahon. Now I've got another match in mind. Steve Corino was going to defend the NWA World Heavyweight Championship against Ric Flair at one point, but sometimes I think you have to accept that Steve Corino's not quite there yet for me. Now, people might disagree. People might think this would be a great match to put him on the map, come out of his storyline with Dustin Rhodes and go on to bigger and better things, and it could be about the history and the respect that Ric Flair has for that championship, but I just don't see that match coming together now. It feels, again, too short notice to try and put all that depth and story into something that's going to happen at Starrcade. I think they have to be bigger, longer built matches. Ken Shamrock I thought for sure would have been brought in, but I just don't see where he fits at the minute. People might think that's on me for a lack of creativity, but there are a couple of people on this list who I'm certain will be brought in, and they are actually penciled in to compete at the show. But have a look at who you can see on screen there. Is there anybody there who you would want to see in a match at Starrcade? But I'm just putting 40 overness as the threshold, because I think that is what makes people basically, or guarantees that somebody will not be classed as unimportant when they come in, because I don't really need any more unimportant people. Do Chronic need to be in the company, perhaps challenging for the World Tag Team Championships? Would you like to see us bring Jeff Jarrett in, as several people have mentioned before? And there's all these names that I'm running through now. I'm just going to show you every single one on screen, just in case it gives anybody any ideas. Like I said, this is just going to be a very, very short video, just about wanting to know what you want to see at WCW Starrcade. I have a card written out. I've finally finalised a card for the show. It's a 9 or 8 match card. I can't quite remember. I think it's going to be 9, but I've not quite decided who's going to be in that 9th match just yet. There's a handful of people who I feel need to be on Starrcade but aren't in a match, so we'll see how things shake up over the next few months. Of course, there's maybe people quitting the company, there may be people getting injured. The 30th of December 2001, the very last show of this year, will be WCW Starrcade, and I just want to know, as viewers, as people who are hopefully enjoying and certainly watching the save, what do you want to see at Starrcade 2001? And I'd be very, very happy if anybody does comment and let me know before we go into this next episode of WCW Nitro, which will be coming very, very soon. Cheers.